Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I wanted to do a video about romance books that are available for free on the iBook store, the Apple Books library. And the reason I wanted to do this was because when I was a teenager, the free option was like my saving grace, because I just used to read books so quickly that my parents were like, look, we're not buying you any more books, you just have to like figure it out and get free ones. So the free book option on iBooks and Wattpad were like my saving grace, and I decided to revisit it recently because due to the lockdown I haven't been able to go to like any op shops or secondhand bookstores, which has meant that like my only option has really been buying brand new books, and that gets really expensive really quickly. So I decided to check out some free books just to like ease the strain on my wallet a little bit, and they're not awful. I feel like free books on like the iTunes store, especially romances, have like this reputation of being really awful, and they're not. So I thought I would shed some light on that today. So I have like 3.5 books to share with you that I've been really enjoying. I say 3.5 because I haven't finished the last one yet. And then I have 3 books that were on the trending page and have really high reviews that I did not like and did not vibe with, and I ended up DNFing. So I figured we could go through all of that today. So all of the books except one are currently on the trending page, so I thought I would go through the one book that's not on the trending page first, and that one is called Shy Girls Write It Better by May Sage. And this is a really short book. It's only like 150 pages, but it's so steamy. It's one of like the spicy romances. It's just so steamy, so fun, and I really recommend it. So the basic premise is that we're following this girl called Cassie, and she works as an accountant at like a toy company, but her boss isn't giving her enough work, so she's really bored at work, so she resorts to writing erotic fiction while she's at work. And then basically one day the folder with her manuscript in it gets mixed up with her CEO's contracts. So he takes home her manuscript and she takes home his contract. And that's basically where the book starts. And yeah, you have to read it to figure out where it goes. But there are a couple things that, like, dot points I made that I wanted to go through about things that I particularly enjoyed about this book. The first thing obviously is that the sex was always consensual, and it sounds really weird that like I need to bring it up, but I've noticed a lot, especially in like the spicier books, that sometimes consent is dubious, and I don't vibe with that. I don't vibe with romances where like the hero is like essentially sexually assaulting the heroine. I don't like it. So whenever that happens, I immediately put a book down. But this doesn't happen in any of like the books I'm recommending to you. But I thought I should point that out anyway. The only thing was that I had an issue with was that it was kind of unrealistic at times regarding how people like viewed the relationship. And what I mean by that is, spoiler alert, when they eventually got together at the end, everyone was like right away like congratulating the hero on finally finding a good girl to settle down with, and just like immediately like giving them their wholehearted blessings, which is fine, except that like everyone in his life was like, oh my god, I'm so glad you settled down, she's a good one, she's a keeper. And I was like, you had like a 5-minute conversation with this chick, you know nothing about it. It was just really weird. But again, it's a spicy romance. I don't know how much realism I was expecting, but I would give it 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was a reread. I enjoyed it both times. And if you're just wanting a really short, spicy, punchy romance, Shy Girls Write It Better. So the next book I read, which is currently on the charts, was called Cockloft. And at first I thought this was a sexual innuendo, but then on like the first page of the book, the author like clarified that it's a firefighter term because the book's about firefighters. And I was like, I don't know, still sounds like a sexual innuendo. So basically the main premise of this book is that Cece's in her apartment one night when her fire alarm goes off, and at first she thinks it's a joke because there's been like a couple of false alarms that month, but it turns out her apartment's actually on fire this one time. And anyway, she's digging through her closet trying to find this one designer handbag she has, when this firefighter basically barges into her apartment and tells her that she needs to evacuate because there's a fire. The only issue is that Cece's only there in her Victoria's Secret lingerie, and he's this really hot firefighter. So after he rescues her, he's really mad because like she risked her own life, he risked his life having to like go into the fire to get her, but they can't fight their mutual attraction for one another, and he asks her out on a date, and it goes from there. And again, this is another spicy one, but it's not as short as the last one I recommended, so if you want something a little bit longer, this one's good. And again, I'll go through some things that I noted down that I particularly liked. So the first thing was, again, with like regarding consent, there was this event that happened in the book where she was left traumatized, and whilst he stayed the night to like comfort her, they didn't have sex, which I liked because, again, I often find that sometimes authors will use like a traumatizing event to like catalyze the intimacy between the two characters, which again, it's not a vibe, you know, she's being traumatized, she doesn't need him trying to get in her pants, so I liked that. The romance was really, really cute. You could like feel the chemistry between them. It was believable. It wasn't like they hated each other one day, loved each other the next. It was still believable how the romance progressed and the relationship between them developed. And then there was, you know, the conflict in the book, spoiler alert, was them breaking up. But the breakup felt real, and it was over something like genuine, which sounds kind of harsh to say, but I hate it in books when the two characters break up over a misunderstanding. It really, really bothers me. But in this book, they basically broke up, and one of the like core issues was racism, which I thought was good. You know, it's not a huge theme that's tackled throughout the book, but it is brought up a couple times because our hero is Hispanic, and so I don't know, I enjoyed the fact that it was brought up about how, you know, especially rich white people, they tend to have a complex about being superior, and so that was brought up, and the breakup seemed real. It seemed like something that would genuinely happen in real life, and I really appreciated it. Okay, the next book that I read that I enjoyed was called The Soldier's Email Order Bride by Cora Seton. And this one wasn't as spicy as the last two. This was like a true like romance with like a little bit of spice sprinkled in. So if you still want that, it was there, but it was more of like a true traditional romance. And there was so much like angst in it, and there was still passion, and I really, really enjoyed it. And the basic premise of that is that our heroine is a famous movie star, and she goes to an Oscars award and she's nominated for one of the awards, but this other girl wins, and in front of her, this like rival actress gets up and announces to everyone that she's been having an affair with our hero's fiance, and they're getting married, and she's pregnant. And it basically ruins our heroine. She goes into hiding because she doesn't want to deal with paparazzi, she doesn't want to deal with press, because right after the Oscar debacle, our heroine went on like a talk show, and the talk show host had it set up so that our heroine would have to confront her ex-fiance and his new girlfriend. And so she runs away, she goes into hiding, she doesn't want to hear it. And so in order to go into hiding, she basically answers this online ad for a wife. And this ad was published by our hero, who just finished serving in the Navy, and him and his 3 other brothers want to like own their family ranch, but their great auntie has some stipulations before she'll like pass it down to them, and the stipulation is that basically all 4 of the brothers need to be married, and one of them needs to have a baby by the end of the year. So all 4 of them have like posted these online wife wanted ads, and our movie star and our hero meet up that way, if that makes any semblance of sense. And yeah, it's got like the trope of like marriage of convenience and all of the stipulations that go with that, but the whole time they're sort of acknowledging that they are attracted to each other, but at the same time they're sort of battling with the fact that they both have their own demons and their own secrets. And yeah, they sort of, one of them will realize that like they really really like the other one, but then they're like, no, this, we're only married for like convenience, we're not actually married, and it goes on for a while, but it's cute. I liked it. Yeah, like I said, not as spicy, but still like a little bit of sprinkled in. So if you want like a true romance, this is a really good option, and it's free. And the second book is also free at the moment. I don't know if that's a permanent thing, but the second book is also free at the moment if you enjoyed the first one and you want to read the second one. No, I lied. So the book I read is the second book in the series and that's free as well, but the first one's also free. And I'm assuming each of the books follows the different brothers. So if you like the second one, you can read the first one, or if you want to start with the first one, the second one's also free. So I thought I'd put that out there so that you're getting 2 books as part of a series for free. Woo! Now, I mentioned 3.5 books because I'm in like the middle of a 4th one, but I have like just under 100 pages left of it, so I haven't quite finished it yet. But I thought I would mention it anyway. And it's called True Blue by Melissa Foster, and it's really cute. And if you like hot guys and said hot guy looking after kids, it's basically the premise follows Truman, who's our hero, and he basically finds out, so his mother and little brother are drug addicts, and basically that's taken over his whole life, and he goes to prison because his mum blamed him for something that his little brother did, but he took the fall because, you know, he wanted to give his brother an option to sort of restart his life, start anew. But when he gets out of prison, he gets a phone call from his little brother basically saying that their mum OD'd, and so he goes over there to like try and sort it out, when he finds out that his mum has a young baby and a toddler, and so it's 2 siblings that Truman never knew about. And so he immediately takes care of them because he doesn't want to leave them in his little brother's care while his little brother is still not sober. And so while he's taking care of them, he takes them to like a Walmart or something to like try and find baby supplies, where he runs into Gemma, and she basically helps him figure out everything that he needs, and romance blossoms from there. Like I said, I'm still working my way through it, so I'm not sure how it ends, but so far it's been really really cute. Again, everything's been really consensual in it, and it's just been like really really hot seeing this really attractive man look after kids. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's hot. So that's my thoughts on that so far. Now, I wanted to go through a couple of books that I started reading but ended up DNFing, which were also free because I didn't like them for whatever reason. So one of these books was Richer Than God by Amelia Wilde, and the reason that I ended up picking this up was because in the description it said that it was a Greek mythology retelling, and I was like, ooh, interesting, spicy. So I got a couple chapters into this, and the reason that I ended up DNFing it was because the hero, I guess, his name was Zeus, he just like objectified women at every turn. He was like really violent when thinking about them. So Zeus basically owns a brothel in this town, and he's really wealthy and powerful and whatever. And our heroine, she's trying to escape an arranged marriage to her uncle, so she like auditions, I guess, at this brothel so that she can make her own money and run away. But the second Zeus sees her, he's all like, I'm gonna possess her, I'm gonna break her before I let her out onto the floor, like I'm gonna control her and dominate her first. And it was just really weird. The language being used was like really really weird. It was very clearly a dark romance, and I just don't really vibe with dark romances at the moment. They're not my thing. They used to be a couple years ago, not anymore. So that was mainly the reason I put it down. I just wasn't a fan of the way that he was talking about this girl and about women in general. The next book that I ended up DNFing was His Best Friend's Little Sister by Vivian Wood, and the reason I DNF'd this was because I just didn't feel any chemistry or any spark between the 2 characters that were supposed to be into each other. I found their conversations kind of awkward and weird most of the time, and yeah, I just didn't believe it. And the hero, he was a war veteran, and so he was dealing with PTSD, but it was almost like the author forgot that we knew that, or she was thinking that we would forget. So we were constantly being reminded about the fact that he had PTSD. And on like one hand it was like, yeah, we get it, home skillet's got PTSD, whatever. On the other hand, it was really annoying constantly being reminded that he had PTSD and that it was something that was going to get in the way of their relationship, because like we'd already figured that out, you know. And then the last one that I didn't vibe with was called Texas Cowboys Protection by Barb Han. And the main reason I didn't like this was because I really enjoy true crime. I enjoy hearing about true crime cases and like police protocol and, you know, how they go about finding who did it. And in this book, our heroine is kidnapped, and like the day before she's kidnapped, this other woman is murdered, okay? And so at the scene where she's kidnapped, she's rescued, she's saved, whatever, but then the sheriff comes along and he just starts like spilling his guts about all the evidence that they have from this murder, all the evidence they have from her kidnapping, and he's like, yeah, I'll keep you up to date, like I'll let you know. And I was just over here like, these people that you're telling could have been involved. They could go and tell someone who was involved, or the person who was involved could be overhearing your conversation and knowing what evidence you have against them, and like be using that information to help them get away with the crime. It was like, like none of the police protocol made sense, and was just like, if this was like how they handled it in real life, the perpetrator would have 100% gotten away with it. And that just really bothered me because, like I said, I really like true crime, and the entire time I was reading it, I just couldn't help thinking like, this is wrong, this is stupid, why are you acting like this? Come on, get it together. So unfortunately I had to stop reading it purely because of that reason. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video and like the 3.5 recommendations that I could give you, as well as 3 books that are currently trending that I didn't enjoy and why I didn't enjoy them. Hopefully it helps you make some decisions, and hopefully it encourages you to try out some of the free books on the Apple bookstore if you haven't tried any of them already. Don't forget to subscribe, like, all of that, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!